Okay, everybody, I am so thrilled today because Rhea Seehorn, aka Chris Latimer and Cooper's Bar, which you can watch on AMC site and YouTube for free, is back on the show today. Rhea, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to talk to you again. You're like, I've already said this, you're one of my favorite actresses in the world, so this is really exciting. And it's
Oh,
exciting
thank you.
because, oh yeah, and I love that you're doing more stuff behind the scenes too. And what's really cool is that you're one of the creators of this project in Cooper's Bar. So what I did want to ask you is, where did this idea kind of begin or come from?
Well, this is an actual tiki bar in Lou Mastillo, the character who plays the lead, Cooper. It is actually in his yard, and
Oh
he
wow.
and I, yeah, this was all real. We filmed it in his backyard. Um, and Lou who is a tremendous actor with an incredible resume, but he and I actually met at a boot camp, this workout place in Glendale. Um, and same with the writers, David Connolly and Hannah Davis Law. And then later, Nick Morton came on after we did a 10-minute short and we created this series. But that it all originated just because we had a bunch of friends, and Lou has these insane stories that would happen in his backyard where network executives are, commingling with the barista he met that morning down the street. And but then we had to get to the work of like, let's actually do scripts, because we've all been there where at 2 o'clock in the morning you think you and your friends are so funny you should have your own show, and it's not true. So we had to actually make sure there was a script there.
Oh yeah, I love that. And it's interesting too, because you could tell watching this show that there's got to be inspiration from just stories and experiences you guys had. So I'm wondering, with your character of Chris, who's a TV executive who they call the biggest dick in Hollywood, was this character like inspired? Like, do you feel like you've come across in your life and your career people like Chris?
I have to say I am very fortunate that I have not produced or written before where I would be subject to these rooms with these kind of notes and stuff. But I do think I can say that David, Hannah, and Nick had a good time exorcising all of the note sessions that they've had to sit through in their lives, and all of their meetings and their agents and all of that. And I understood that I was a conduit for getting these demons out for them.
Okay, I love that. That's a good answer too, and I like that answer. It's smart. I think you never know who's listening, right? And I think people sometimes forget to how you have such a large amount of actually comedy experience, and that you've done Whitney and Veep, and you're also doing the Harper House now, which is also great. So, was there
Thank you.
anything from those projects though that you kind of maybe brought to this comedy series, like things you've kind of learned about the genre?
Yeah, I mean, I did in theater when I was doing theater in New York and Washington D.C. For about 12 years. Like, I did comedy and drama back and forth.
Mm.
And then when I came out to LA, I was cast in a sitcom called I'm With Her, and on ABC. And then from there, just kept being called in and cast in sitcoms. And as any actor will tell you, you can only be so lucky to be pigeonholed, because that means anybody's calling you at all.
Mm.
But it was surprising to me that uh, that people sort of didn't call you in for drama then, but some did, and that includes the incredible casting directors, Sharon Bialy, Sherry Thomas, and Russell Scott, who cast Breaking Bad, and they also cast Better Call Saul. So they were calling me in for dramas for years and years and years, for work that nobody ever saw, never saw the light of day, because I
Right.
didn't get them. But it
Okay.
ended up being a body of work that they could speak to Vince and Peter about, when it came time to consider me for the Kim Wexler role. But yeah, it was fun. Uh, Going back to doing this very kind of heightened broad comedy. We had a good time.
Yeah, and you could tell you guys are having a good time, and there's a really good chemistry between the cast here too. So it's cool to kind of see you play around with these people. And do you ever sense, when you're working with maybe people that are lesser known creatives, do you feel like people are intimidated by your star power now? Like, do you ever sense people nervous around you? Is this something that kind of happens now?
Um, on our show, these people have most of the people on this have been friends of mine for a while.
Okay.
So we didn't have much of that issue. I don't know. Maybe later on in the series when more people start coming in, I don't. I don't know. I've had a few occasions where I'm just talking to someone in the business and then they reveal to me that they were nervous, which I'm always surprised because in
Oh,
my head
okay.
I'm just a dork. I don't.
Right.
I am. Yeah, it's fun.
Now, do you believe comedic acting, some people say, is actually harder than dramatic acting? Are you someone in that camp? Do you see them kind of equal? Like, how would you compare the two?
It really depends on the script as far as like what is technically more difficult.
Mm,
But I do fall in the camp of people that feels the need to defend how difficult comedy is, though,
mm,
because bizarrely, people still think that it's easy, and tend to
mm,
not actually think of somebody who's doing comedy really well as a real, and that's in quotations, actor, or they
mm.
are they are equally difficult, and the math and the science and the phonics and the timing that go into doing comedy well is to be able to do it in a way that doesn't look like work. And
Mm.
so you're striving to actually prove to prove the counterpoint is to make it look like you're not doing anything. Um,
Right.
so that's always hard, but they're equally difficult. And then even within the genres, there's like in Better Call Saul,
Sure.
it's easy to look at really explosive scenes, and on other shows as well, as being like the hardest thing to do, but actually can be very challenging to do the smaller scenes that are about the fabric of a relationship, to do the teeth brushing scenes, to do the TV watching scenes, because you need to really trust in the character you've built and the relationship you've built and not overdo anything. And that connective tissue is what makes the more explosive scenes on the bookends of that work.
Wow, that's an incredible answer, and that's good to hear too from someone who has such experience in both genres. I really like that, and it's interesting too. But that you're all now picking up doing more stuff behind the scenes, and it's cool that you're executive producer here on this project, but that you also direct 2 episodes, and people are excited that you were directing Saul for the first time this season. For you in general, now is it difficult like to get into character because you're also acting in this, and then turn off the directing producing part in your head, or is it easy to kind of separate that when you're on set?
Um, it's it is technically difficult, and when when people saw 604 of Saul that I directed, they're like, "Wow, you really wanted to direct yourself in some major scenes," because it's a very Kim Wexler heavy episode with some
Sure.
extremely challenging Kim Wexler scenes. But that was a calendar days slot kind of thing that I
Mm,
was given that script. It was not purposefully picked that this should be the one that I direct. It is there's no getting around that it is logistically challenging, because uh, there's also the prep time, the when you're in prep, which for any of your listeners that don't know, it is as long of hours and as difficult as when you're actually shooting it, and that's the director's prep of
mm,
breaking down the episode and scouting and going on scouts, looking at locations and deciding, like, does this room work? Would the camera fit here? Do we need a crane? Casting all the day player parts, looking at costumes, looking at props. And I was also shooting an episode while we were doing that. So you
mm.
need to be in two places at once. And uh, and then there's the actual shooting where you're like running over to the monitor and running back. Thankfully, in both cases on Cooper's, where we had to shoot very fast and furious in a very short amount of time with not a lot of money, versus Saul, longer prep, larger infrastructure, but still in both cases, people really, really went out of their way to give me what I needed as a support system to be able to do that. Everything from, we had a producing director, Michael Morris, on
Mm.
Better Call Saul this year, and he's directed a number of episodes and he's been in the Saul family for a while, but he could be my eyes over in Video Village, because when I'm in a scene, I owe it to myself and I owe it to my scene partner to be just playing Kim Wexler, not watching them with an
Mm.
observant director's eye. And it was important to me to not be observational when I'm in those scenes with those people. So I would kind of set up a system where I would ask, and then on Cooper's Bar, the wonderful director Anna Ramey Borden, we begged to come AD for us because she's got such a brilliant producing and directing mind that she was able to, and she's a sought after AD, but she same thing. She was able to be my eyes and my ears when I couldn't watch myself because you don't have time to keep watching playback. There isn't enough hours in the day. That sun is going to come up, and these were all night shoots.
Right, right. No, that's really interesting too, and that's a lot of really good info. I could just want to just take as tidbits there for just film lessons. That's really good stuff. And I'm wondering too, from your angle as doing this directing a lot more now, do you have any directors that kind of speak to you or you look up to, or that even you just study in general when you kind of want to kind of maybe be inspired?
All of the Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad directors. I mean, truly, it's a masterclass. I listen and I watch and I absorb pretty much every department there. Actually, no, every department, not pretty much, but they're to learn more about what other people are doing and contributing to this collaborative art form makes you better at your job as well. So I've always wanted to learn, even when it wasn't about directing. I like understanding all the cogs in the wheel. And I shadowed quite a few of them, Norberto Barba, Scott Wynant, Michael Slovis, for multiple episodes on hiatus for the shows they were on. And Michelle McLaren
Mm.
was a big help to me. And all of these people, they go about their process slightly differently, and so everybody has their own particular language or the way they draw out a shot list. And certainly, Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould have allowed me to see their process in such a detailed way that I feel. I mean, what a gift to be able to listen to and talk to those guys for 7 years of my life. So I draw inspiration from them. Yes, there's people, if I sat here and thought, like, certainly directors of uh, films and other television shows, but these people, I have to say, like, I think they're the best of the best, and I've gotten to watch them up close for 7 years.
Yeah, and that's great, and it shows in your work so far, even just on Saul, like how you're learning from the best, and you're producing, you're performing it, and doing it great everywhere. So, I,
Thank you.
no problem. And the thing too is, we're nearing the end of Better Call Saul now. So, do you feel emotionally ready to say goodbye to the character Kim, or is that something like as an actor you can't prepare for? Like, is she part of your soul forever?
I think she's probably part of my soul forever. I was very sad when the show ended, when it's your last day of shooting and you drive away from set. It was very emotional. But because it's still airing, I feel like the full weight of the show ending has not hit many of us, because we're still promoting it and we're still we're still taking this baby around that we made to show people. And it'll probably hit me even more when it's done. I'm incredibly grateful, though, that to do the most challenging work of my career in the best role of my career, the fact that we had critics and fans receiving it so well, because you could be doing the best work of your life and no one saw it. So
Yeah.
it does exist, and it's out there in the world, and we did the work, and it was challenging work, blissfully challenging, and it doesn't get any easier from here on out. The rest of the episodes are bananas. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have done that work with that particular group of people. And I'm excited for it to be out there. I'll be sad. She'll probably always be a part of me.
I love that answer. And if I don't get to talk to you again before the end of Saul, I just want to thank you too for your incredible performance as Kim Wexler and being super kind to people like me and also the fan base. And Kim to me is just a legendary character that people won't forget, and a legendary performance people won't forget. And saying that, if they don't nominate you for the Emmy in July, I'm literally going to quit the business as protest. So I have a good feeling though, and either way, there's an Emmy for you in my eyes, and I think everybody knows you're incredible in this, and I'm gonna miss it. But overall, thank you for being so kind, and everyone check out Cooper's Bar for free now on AMC.com and YouTube. Watch Ray just kill it here. It's linked below. And of course, Better Call Saul returns July 11th. Thank you so much, Ray, for joining me.
Thank you for such kind words. That's so
Oh, no
lovely of
problem.
you. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
and I'm not just saying that. Like, you really deserve that. And yeah, and I can't wait to see what you do next.